guys, thanks for doing the pod.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're so excited. You guys, we have the good girls.
Gone Sad. Good Girls Gone Sad podcast with us today. We have Becca Stephenson. We also have Syd King.
Yeah, Becca Stephenson Ryan.
Becca Stephenson Ryan.
Well, not legally, but I'm playing with it.
Spiritually.
Where we are, yeah.
Instagram handily, which is essentially legally
That's
binding.
true. Yeah.
That is true.
Right.
That's more serious than even the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
So,
for you.
yeah, we thought we would have you guys on because you used to be a pageant girl.
Mhm,
and
yeah.
famously, if you guys have seen in the news, Miss Teen USA and Miss USA both stepped down within days of one another. Allegedly, it's not coordinated. They are under NDA, so they can't say a ton of what's going on, but essentially it sounds like the CEO is creating a terrible work environment. So what's your take on that debacle?
Where's the money? I don't understand how you make money.
Hold
from
on.
that, though.
2 stand-up comics in New York City.
Just learned a lot of this stuff. I'm gonna ask all the stupid questions that you might be thinking at home, but are afraid to ask people.
Making it to where you feel like you're too stupid to be able to ever engage in it, they win.
Why the fuck are they doing this?
It's to make money. It's risque business news.
CEO is creating a terrible work environment. So what's your take on that debacle?
Yeah.
We'll start there.
It's from what I understand, it is mostly Lila Rose, I believe her name is
Yes.
the new CEO. And so there was a scandal. Also, if you think that Donald Trump is associated with this, he's not. He hasn't been associated with Miss Universe, Miss USA. They're the same organization since what? You said 2015? That sounded
2015,
right?
yeah, right before he started to do something else much worse,
Right.
which was run for president.
Wait, yeah. First of all, he was like, I'm done with these young ladies. How about the
Yes.
whole ass country?
Yeah.
So good for you there, Mr. Trump. And then he was in charge of Miss USA.
So Miss Universe and Miss USA are owned by the same organization, like the
That makes
overarching
sense.
Miss Universe organization.
Miss
And
America is separate.
Miss America
Yeah,
is
it took
separate.
me a while to realize that this was Miss
Wait.
USA and not Miss America.
Right.
Yes.
Miss America's a different thing. And that's
Yeah.
like the Miss Rhode Island, Miss
Yeah.
other states.
So it's confusing
they have
because
a
they'll both be
talent?
Miss. Yes.
Is that the
So
difference?
the Miss America is the 4 points of her crown are scholarship, style, success,
Sorry.
service, style, scholarship, and success. So it's like you have to have a philanthropy. Like there's an interview portion. There is for Miss USA as well, but on stage categories do count, I believe, for more in Miss USA. And there's not a talent aspect, and the women tend to be like professional models, and then also
For the
a
Donald
doctor.
Trump one.
Right.
Yes.
But he was a part owner. He was like a majority stakeholder, I believe. He didn't really have much to do with it. He was just kind of like
Outside of calling them all fat,
and
besides
then,
that.
right. And then going into the dressing rooms and stuff, there was
Yeah.
problems.
What?
So there's
yeah.
actually
You don't know
been-
about this?
No,
Yeah.
no.
I don't think I really knew about this.
There was a lot of other headlines about Trump over
Right.
this.
Yeah.
It took a
Right.
while to scroll.
I know some people were blessed to not pay attention to him in 2014. And
True.
before.
I Didn't think I
and-
needed to.
Right. Well, I never competed in Miss USA because I'm not classically hot, but I'm like cute enough to represent America, just not the United States, I guess. Just kidding. You know what I mean?
Also, I love how Miss America is north or south. Like, it's just so vague. It's so
Yeah.
big.
It's
It's
of
like
a
weirdly
region.
racist. Mexicans are like, what?
What the
Where's
fuck?
also America?
Are they? Do they?
Yeah.
I've never
do they
even thought
participate
about
in
that.
Miss
That's
America?
Guam and Puerto Rico are represented.
So, but like
but not.
So it's
Uruguay
actually
is like we're
not
down
the
in South
continent.
America, just like not
Yeah.
invited.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
North
no,
America.
but they are. So there's,
But
and then
USA.
there's another. Right. So USA is each country, and then there's also separately
State.
Miss United States and Miss Earth.
What the fuck,
Right.
dude?
And
So
how
that's the thing is,
How much? Who's watching this shit?
well,
How
those
many
aren't,
people?
Those aren't televised
Okay,
as
so no.
much, but in other countries, Miss USA, like in the Miss Universe organization overall, do have like very, very important for like political things
Yeah,
and like
I know
as a
Miss
face
Universe.
for their country.
Priyanka Chopra?
Priyanka
Yes.
Chopra,
Yeah.
yeah. So was
Yeah.
Olivia Culpo.
Oh, wow.
She was Miss Universe? Or just
She's
Miss
from Rhode
USA?
She was Miss Rhode Island and Miss USA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
She had her dress changed lives, mine included. I loved when she won.
Really?
Wait, why?
Like,
What-
check
It was
this
just
out.
like,
dress?
yeah,
Bring it
it
up.
was just like not a typical, it wasn't like bedazzled. It was low cut, long sleeves, and had like a velvet skirt. And it sounds so
Oh.
ugly, but she looked stunning.
Miss Universe dress.
Look up Olivia Culpo, Miss USA.
Okay.
And then she went on to Miss Universe. So
I believe
USA,
so, yes.
And
beat
now
the
she's a
Universe.
reality star. Nice
And-
little pipeline there.
And she's a wag.
And she dated a Jonas brother.
But now
Wait,
she's a
this guy,
wag.
the really low cut one?
Yeah.
Oh, that is a pretty dress.
And what year was it? It was like 2010 or something. So it was, like,
2012.
yeah, so it was like way ahead of its time.
I'm
You
gonna
would
ask
say.
a crass question. Are those tits real?
What are you, Donald Trump?
Hers, I don't know exactly.
Disqualified.
Wait,
Okay.
I need to see
Those
different
aren't naturals.
angles. I need to see different
Those
angles because I
tits,
can't decide
Not
if
the
they're
nicest tits. They're beautiful.
taped
They're
up
beautiful.
well.
Maybe they're taped up well, but damn, they look fucking
They look
firm.
really
They
and
look-
plump.
And that, you can't, what kind of bra are you wearing with that?
you're
She
not.
probably
No,
has
bro.
one specially created.
I
That dress is
Oh.
$10,000. You think?
Oh, wow.
There's some physics happening there.
Yes.
Have you ever watched the videos of the Kardashians like having their boobs taped?
No.
No, but that sounds
I-
like a special channel. Where they play those.
I watched. I don't know if it was actually of them, but it was like about how they do it. And I had a really low cut dress that I was wearing once, and I did it. And I
She never did it again.
no, I never did it again because people would like message me on Instagram and be like, "Your boobs look amazing," and I was like, "That is so weird."
Wait, so it
I'm like,
works?
what's
But
the
it
problem?
worked. So I'll let you know. I'll tell you how it works.
Yeah,
Okay,
but it is a
but-
feat of engineering.
It is not fun to take off. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
A
I
feat
wouldn't
of
know, actually.
engineering.
It is a feat of engineering. I've seen it done. I've had to both apply and take off my friend who had a backless wedding dress, and she has like triple D. She's like
Yeah.
huge
Did I
boobs.
tell you?
I had a backless wedding dress for some fucking reason because I have very large breasts as well, and I was like, why did I do this to myself? Like,
Yeah.
Anyway, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
I taped my boobs for New Year's this year, and when I ripped off the tape, I just had like massive red.
Oh,
It
no.
was so much worse. I was like, this was not worth the
I-
outfit. It was
at
not
least your
hot enough.
area-
I look horrifying now.
Yeah.
I look like
At
a
least your
victim.
areola hairs are gone. What? Just me?
Yeah.
I like still have a
waxed
scar from a
myself.
wedding I went to in January.
It's so painful.
And I was sunburned. It was like the
Oh.
worst combination.
Damn.
But
No, my friend when we took it off, she literally had like rug burns.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
because also it was like also on her shoulders because her boobs are big and heavy. So it was like
oh yeah,
So
you gotta
she
do
taped
all
the
on
that.
that
tape
full-ass
was like
bra.
the tape had a lot of pressure on it, and so it was like also
Ooh.
I was
Yeah,
like
you have to like start at the bottom and do it
Yeah.
all the way up over your shoulder.
like KT
for, like-
tape.
Isn't it fun being a woman? It's just
Yeah.
the best ever. So tell us
Love
about
it.
your experience being judged primarily for your appearance.
By Donald
Right.
Trump.
By Donald Trump. Yeah, that was okay. So I basically did it because I do stand-up comedy now, which is how we know each other. But I just wanted any opportunity to sing, dance, and perform. And I was like, I get a minute and a half, and no one can stop me. So that's like the talent
okay.
portion was really what drew me to it.
How
what was your
old were you?
talent?
I was teen and miss. So I was teen. I was like 14, 15, 16. And then I was like 20, 21 because I competed in my university.
Oh,
had its
wow.
own prelim for Miss Indiana, and I competed for that as well.
Cool. What was your talent? Was it stand up? That would be so great.
That
No,
would be
I
great.
really wish because I'm so much
Competitive
better.
improv.
I also wish. No, I tap danced or I sang.
Okay.
Depending. And I'm not like that's the reason it's like why was it either or? Because I'm about like equally at both.
Okay.
you know?
Okay.
But I was doing musical theater at the time, so I do like very musical theater oriented numbers where I do like a cartwheel and I would like whatever.
That would be iconic if there was some girl in a beautiful dress looking amazing, like fake eyelashes, just going out there doing like her best pedophilia joke. Just doing like kill Tony material.
I would actually start watching if they
Yeah.
all did stand
That
up.
would be a really good talent.
Let's
It would be
hear it.
amazing.
I
You
know.
would.
I actually think now, if I could go back, well, they did up the age. I think we're all still aged out because I just turned 29, but they upped the
God,
age to
so old.
28. Oh no, it used to be 24.
I thought you were going to say for the kids, and I was like, oh, that's good.
Mm-mm.
Nope, the other way.
No,
The
swimsuit.
maximum age.
Swimsuit was always just like. I was like
So
on.
weird.
Yeah,
I was
wait.
like on amphetamine. Like I had
What?
Adderall. Okay, no. Sorry. Okay, like
All right, let's back up.
Let's back up. I had like a very high metabolism because I had ADHD. So I just like did not gain weight until I got off in college of like my
Okay.
meds. So I was like naturally very thin, but my platform was anti-spray tan. Should I say it?
I was trying to decide if you were going to.
Anti-spray tan?
Okay,
know,
okay.
wait,
So it was more than that. That's not okay.
It's so much worse than that.
You can't imagine this. Okay. So I'm from Indiana. And
I'm so excited right
okay,
now.
so a lot of people have like cutesy names for their platforms, and mine was Pale and Proud Preventing Skin Cancer.
Oh.
It sounds a little. It sounds
No,
a little
but-
white hoodie.
But they would
It sounds a
always
little
shorten
bad.
it to Pale and Proud and be like, and I'd be on stage. Oh, and another
my
time,
God, you were the face
of like, white supremacy.
White supremacy.
No one stopped
Make
me.
them proud.
I was like,
would have liked you.
like 14. I was like 14, and in my head, I was like, "Well, this is great. Like, it's super topical."
I can
because
understand at 14, you don't think any
And
better.
the
No.
skin cancer thing is like a really important point for that community, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But
So like, I
then-
didn't. So
Wait,
I
which
didn't spray
community?
tan.
Whites?
Well, the pageantry.
Pageant community.
Oh.
Right. Because like tanning is a
I don't know.
huge,
You guys
huge
are
part of
wondering?
it.
That's
Just
amazing.
fucking curious.
Wait,
What
that's
I
referred to the white people as that community.
That community. Oh my god.
That you're not a part. You're a mother
Yeah.
now, so you're just not.
So within our community.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, you're not wrong. Skin cancer is pretty. It's a
pretty
focal
deal.
topic.
That's true. That is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. You just,
Wait,
like
good
you're
for
just
you.
super religious at that time. You have like crosses in the back. And you're
I
like doing
am- I wa-
fireworks. Everyone's like, oh boy.
and I indeed was
Pale
super
and
religious
proud.
at the time. I was super religious at the time, pale and
Fuck,
proud,
that's
preventing
funny,
skin
dude.
cancer. And another, I will always remember this. So I did the International Baccalaureate program at my school,
Yo,
which
yeah,
is
we
like
have that.
AP but not. And I was walking on stage once during evening gown. They normally like read out a list of like facts and accomplishments about you, and they said Miss Sydney King is a proud member of the International Bachelorette program. And there's like, I didn't have a mic. There was nothing I could do, and I was just
Just
like,
like
they just think I'm an international bachelorette, desperate for
funny.
I mean, in a way.
You're
like,
just going to
way, not
Nashville.
wrong.
You're going to Austin.
Yeah.
You're going to
You're heading
Scottsdale.
wherever the party is. Miami, I'll be there.
You've seen her all over the world.
You see her, and she's single. She is single.
She's available.
She's a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Right, but I was in high school. Like, 'cause that was like when I was in high school.
Indiana, baby.
Indiana, international
Oh my God.
bachelorette program. And then I
And
always
she's pale and proud.
and she's pale and proud. I would always make my onstage questions too political, and it would confuse the other contestants.
Oh my
Can
god.
I get an example?
Yeah, well, so I was a teen, and so a lot of times the teens and Miss competed in the same prelim pageant. So like, the categories would be a little bit different. Like Miss had swimwear, teen just had activewear, so you're just in like leggings and a tank top, and then like you have to do like 4 push-ups.
Oh,
It's so weird.
That's
But
good.
yeah, so you're not
I like that.
right. You're
actually.
not in and it's just kind of like promoting physical fitness and movement.
Cool.
Is like so that's if you're a teen, and that's up until I believe when you're 18 you compete in Miss. So.
Mm-hmm.
Which they was talk they were going to take away the swimsuit. There's been so much Miss America drama too. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Okay,
Yeah, we
but
gotta get into
separately.
that.
So there was a question for one of the contestants. This was right after Trayvon Martin. And
Okay.
they asked her, they said, like, I don't remember what the question was exactly, but she had no idea who it was. And she went, this is on stage question. You're in evening gown. This is like 10% of your overall score. And she goes, I'm so sorry. I don't know who that is. And then she walks off stage. And
Was
then,
she also proud and pale?
I believe she was not. I believe she was, in fact, spray tanned and ashamed.
Okay.
Oh, hate that community.
And hate the spray tanned and ashamed community.
They don't know anything.
And then I went on stage and they asked me something about like, should Hunger Games be like, is it too violent for schools? And I went, unfortunately, there's like terrible things going on in the world. This is like a good introduction to like how complicated the world can be, and like for young adult audiences. And I got applause.
That's a good answer.
And it was this like
Are you a politician?
perfect nuanced answer. And literally my mom was like, I got a text, she was like, you made her look so stupid. And I went, I felt bad the whole time.
Yeah, you
because
were
I
like-
even brought up Trayvon Martin. I was like, this is a reality everyone is seeing on the news. Like, we
Yeah.
don't live in a cookie cutter world. You can't protect children from it. You might as well introduce it to them in like a fantastical way so they can process what's going on. I know.
Man, you fucked her up,
I
dude.
fucked her up.
That girl had no idea.
Did you get a 10 out of
idiot.
10? 10 points?
I think so. They
Hell
also
yeah.
like rank you, but I remember
course
in
they
that
do.
in that one, I didn't win for like your platform is a big deal, and one girl had in like surgically inserted defibrillator because her heart stopped, and I was like, there's just no,
She's cheating.
there's
Yeah.
no.
That's like
beating that.
doping and fucking.
And then she was
Bachelorette,
also-
whatever you were doing.
An opera singer, so there was no beating that.
Yeah, that's pretty
Even
good.
with my little cartwheel, I was doing six
Yeah.
languages from Putnam County Spelling Bee. He knows
Heart
what that.
problem opera singer. You're
Yeah.
shot.
Oh my god, that's
chance.
so funny.
Yeah, no chance. But
So, wait,
I
so they're
got
trying-
first runner up, I think.
They're trying to take away the swimsuit.
There was
section.
talks that they were going
Okay.
to do it. So there was recently a Miss America 2.0, and I believe it's when, oh gosh, I don't want to mess this up. But so Gretchen Carlson, who is the reporter
Mm-hmm.
or like the public figure. She's a former Miss America. And she came in. Oh, this might be a little bit of dead silence. I'm sorry. Or someone can keep talking because I need to look this up real quick.
No, that's okay. Becca, have you done any of these?
Well, I actually,
yeah.
I did one single pageant.
Oh, let's hear it.
We called it the scholarship program, and if anybody called it a
Miss
pageant, we'd be
Congeniality.
like
This is Young American Miss, right?
Junior Miss.
Junior Miss.
But now it's called
Not to be confused.
Distinguished Young Women of
it is.
America.
Yeah.
Great.
But I was in it when it was Junior Miss.
The Dimas.
I think it changed like the year after I did it. But you do it when you're a junior in high school, and it's like talent, interview, scholastics, and those are the top 3 things that matter. And then you do fitness. You have to like literally do a fitness routine on stage and do push-ups. And
A common theme.
Fuck
A lot of
that.
push-ups
yeah,
in these
I did not
programs.
place in that department. And then there was another thing. Oh, and then self-expression, which is when they asked you a question and you had to answer.
Oh, it was
Wow.
like beat poetry. Like,
Yeah.
You had to.
And is it something that was just so common in your town that you were like, yeah, I guess I'll go up? Or was it something like you sought out and was like, Mom, I really want to be a part of this?
Yeah, my mom would have loved if I hadn't done it, but
Oh, okay.
a bunch of people at my dance studio did it, and so
I
that's
see.
why I did it. And it was like, I mean, you do get a scholarship to college. I think I got like $3,000.
Oh, okay. I mean,
so you know,
that's
That
not
is more
nothing.
than
it's more than zero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think in my 5 years of competing, I saw like $800
Yeah.
in scholarships.
I also
so.
like that
you
could
probably
be
spent
wrong.
quite
I'm
a
really
bit,
bad
yeah.
at remembering numbers.
Yeah.
It could have been less.
I was very frugal about it though. I like always got my dresses secondhand because I was like, until I make it somewhere that no one's seen this dress before. Like I would get them from other contestants.
That's
My
smart.
swimsuit like
Yeah.
came from Victoria's Secret. My mom and I bedazzled it ourselves. Otherwise, yeah, like I had like costumes from like other stuff, and then like interview wear. I worked at Cachet. Does anybody
Of
remember the
course.
sportswear?
Yes.
I was at one point in time the youngest employee in the whole company.
Wow.
Cachet.
Cachet.
And we actually dressed Miss Indiana, and she would come in and like we'd give her weather woman dresses, and then she'd be on her way.
Oh, wow.
That's
That's so
adorable.
funny. I put cachet in the same like part of my mind as wet seal. And
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
I,
like,
thought
Hot
I thought you were
Topic,
gonna say
kind
White
of.
House Black Market because that's
That
it's
too,
White House
yeah.
Black Market, Chico's, and Cachet.
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
that's on the
I
spectrum.
thought Chico's was for old people though.
Yeah, Cachet
is, but-
as well, but just sells
Yeah.
prom dresses
Oh.
randomly.
I have no
Oh,
idea.
okay.
White House-
I'll
White House
admit
Black
it, I have
Market
no
as
idea
well.
what cachet is.
That's fine.
well, it doesn't exist anymore. It went bankrupt.
Damn.
I think my
Damn.
sister
'Cause
got
I
her
wasn't
prom
there.
dresses there. But yeah.
Okay.
Prom dresses.
So basically, Gretchen Carlson stepped in because Sam Haskell stepped down, and he there was a scandal. He was exchanging vulgar emails about past contestants' looks.
You
That
don't
makes sense.
say.
Love that.
Yeah,
That's
that
it.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So Gretchen Carlson stepped up and tried to make like all of these changes, and it was a little too progressive. Some contestants were complaining it was too woke.
What does that mean in this context?
I do believe like taking away the swimsuit portion and things like that, because there is something about it that pageants are about empowering women, and you kind of don't compete unless you want to portray
Yeah.
yourself that way. Like there are other organizations and systems. If you don't want to be in a swimsuit and they're like, you're
Okay.
changing, like
That's
this is
legit.
something
Fine.
that we've worked our whole lives to achieve, like this version of Miss America. I do think that there was some, like, I don't know exactly about the too woke stuff. I'm
Sure,
sure,
sure.
that there were, it was like, hey, let's be inclusive. It's like, but I'm white, I'm supposed to win. I'm
Yeah, it's
actually
like
supposed to win.
everyone's supposed to look kind of exactly alike, weirdly.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
This is eerie almost.
I was
Yeah.
wondering, like, it's now that people are getting plastic surgery younger, and that's like such a thing. Is that just making everybody have Instagram?
It feels like
face?
doping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm like,
Yeah.
you should
That
have
should
to
have
be-
to be tested.
Yes.
See if
Yeah.
you've gotten
Is there Botox
lip
in your
filler?
forehead?
I mean, this sounds
You're
like
disqualified.
this sounds like a weirdly misogynist take, but I'm like, I feel like it should have to be some sort of stipulation that you cannot get plastic surgery if you're going to
Yeah.
compete, and you have to be your natural self. But I mean, I guess people are going to do what they're going to, like, I don't know. Can you really hold someone to that?
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of these women all look
Or-
alike.
Yeah.
Or sponsorships from your surgeons, and you wear it on your little,
Yeah.
on your shirt, on your swimsuit.
Yeah.
Dr. Miami.
Dice
Well,
Sports.
that's like another part of
Yeah.
it is like Miss America. You have to do all of your own hair and makeup. Like there's nobody allowed backstage with
Really?
you, which doesn't mean you can't be extremely good at it, of course.
Right.
At least like at the level I was at, Miss USA, you are welcome to be sponsored by people. Go after your own sponsorships. You're welcome to have this like big social media presence. Like it is really, I think you're like even signed by a modeling agency. Like
Oh,
you
wow.
go to Fashion Week. Like
Makes sense.
all these things. So yeah, there was a lot of things going on with Miss USA. I can't speak to all of them, but did you know that in Miss USA, or former Miss USA recently, within the past couple of years, committed suicide?
Oh,
I
no.
did know
Crystal.
that.
I
Yeah,
did Chelsea
I've,
Christ.
this is ringing a bell. Yeah, so
And that was like because so like mental, and it was mental health. Like I'm in no way saying that the like Miss USA contributed to like her. She never came out and said that, but she also never really, to my knowledge, talked about it. But it was not during her reign, I don't believe. But these two contestants stepping down because of a toxic workplace is very eye-opening in light of that fact.
And the older one, Miss USA, so not the teen, she actually specifically cited mental health.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's specifically why she's stepping down. So, and I actually didn't even piece those two things together, that there was another Miss USA that unfortunately died that way.
Didn't she say her values no longer aligned?
That was the
yes,
teen.
The teen
But
did.
Miss USA, her statement had like the code that
Yeah,
said it was
I've
like
been
Taylor
silenced.
Swift.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait,
I
what
am
was it?
silenced.
I'm silenced.
It was
Taylor
the first letter.
well-
It's just like an Easter egg a la Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
Fucking
it was the
Swifties.
first letter of every sentence spelled out. I am silenced.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Which
Taylor
they-
Swift did
they-
not.
I mean,
invent
they
that,
are.
but-
Okay.
They are. They signed NDAs. The social media manager who stepped down, she is not under NDA, so she's spoken out more. But basically, it seems like Lila Rose is like just wants to be Miss USA herself, and is being extremely hard. And if you like look at their social media, it's been weird. And the social media manager was like, "I'm not responsible for anything that was not filmed content of the title holders." Like while I was with them, like the passwords were, a few people in the organization had them. They were blocking people. They were deleting comments. They were like posting weird stuff that like I didn't approve. So she's like, I don't even want this work to really represent my title as like a social media manager, because I was not in charge of these things
Damn.
And she said
Yeah.
she wasn't paid.
for the first
Did
2
you see
months.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she was like, "Am I a contract worker? Like, what's going
Yeah.
on here?" Is this like, I don't know. Yeah, it was interesting.
So it sounds like a pretty dysfunctional.
Yeah, it sounds
Organization.
great.
Very
So
dysfunctional.
like Lila has, it seems it's been pretty dysfunctional, because also they normally get like a model apartment, not a model apartment. I keep saying that they're models because in my eyes,
Kind of.
I mean, pretty
They
close.
they
Yeah.
are. So they get an apartment, and it's typically been in New York, but they decided to move it to LA. So for the one who just stepped down, Miss USA who just stepped down, never got her apartment, never got her like sponsored Porsche that she's supposed to have, this car for her reign, and she's been the title holder for 9 months. She was supposed to, she was crowning somebody else in August.
And she also wasn't really like, she wasn't doing a lot of things. Like, she was basically just like sitting around. They weren't giving her a lot of duties and a lot of appearances. But typically it's like literally they're doing shit every single day.
That's your job. That's why
Yeah.
you are paid a salary
Right.
to do that. And apparently I was watching a video with somebody. Oh my gosh, what was her name? Well, she's like, if you look her up on YouTube, she's like the only one talking about this, because she was a former Miss Maine or something like that. And she like still is a pageant coach. And she was speaking about how she was at the Kentucky Derby with Miss USA. And
This year?
yeah, and it was supposed to be like literally
Like,
like
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
and I think it was the next morning, like that weekend, she like resigned or something like that. It was like very recent after that. And she had it as an official appearance, and then like for some reason they revoked it, but it was still her dream to go, so she paid her own way to go. And then she was supposed to be in a documentary about this milliner, I think it's called like Mr. Hats or something like that, who makes the crazy fascinators that you see.
Yeah.
Cool.
That you see at the Kentucky Derby, and she was already contracted to be in it as Miss USA, and then she was like not allowed to wear her sash, and she wasn't allowed to be on camera representing Miss USA in a documentary about fancy hats.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Also, couldn't she say Miss Former Miss USA?
No, she wasn't at the time. She hadn't stepped down.
She just wasn't allowed to be there in her official capacity.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like they didn't want her representing the brand. Also,
It's almost
2
like
years ago.
being a royal, but without like any of the real benefits of
Yeah.
that whole thing. But you still have to deal with these like weird ass rules.
So
Yeah, it's so
Typically,
strange.
you don't
but,
have
like,
the title anymore, and it's okay.
But
Yeah.
but she did. Like she was Miss USA at the time.
So why couldn't she say it?
because the organization hadn't officially allowed her to be there in that capacity. Like, she paid her own way to go.
Nice.
So, like, Miss America was there in her sash, and, like, all these other
So she just
state
couldn't
title
wear the-
holders, like Miss USA, the program said. And so from also what I've been hearing is that at the state level, the program is still really good because there are state organizations that are separate from Miss USA. And people, like, if you read all of the statements from everybody who stepped down, they're like, we love the state organizations. And so Miss Teen
Interesting.
USA was like, my time as Miss Teen New Jersey was the best time of my life.
Okay.
And that's before she won Miss
See,
Teen USA.
I'm like shocked and I mean, I'm delighted, but I'm shocked that anyone had any positive experience whatsoever when it comes to pageants.
Yeah.
Like,
It
you
sounds
speak-
like a fucking nightmare.
yeah, like you speak about it
Nightmare.
like in a good way,
Yeah.
but like I just like hearing you're going to be ranked against all these other women based on, you know, primarily your looks, secondly, like a few other things. Like I would be in tears 100% of my time.
100%.
The whole time. I would still be in tears.
Yeah, and there is a big, like, there's a huge energy of you do have to be congenial, and it's a sisterhood, and you're not competing against these
Yeah.
women. But at the end of the
You
day,
are.
you
Yeah, you fully
are.
are. My sponsor would be my therapist.
Yeah.
BetterHelp.
Miss Earth USA is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Really? There you
It's
go.
like a national sponsor.
Terrible company.
But
Yeah.
yeah, well, there's that. But
It's the other side.
so I never really got along with many of them, so I didn't have a lot of like friends in pageants. So I literally was there to sing and dance. Like, I can't emphasize that enough.
Okay.
It's so
I
fun. You were
already-
just like stage time. Baby.
Yeah, I was
Let's
already.
go.
I was like, okay, I can wear a dress, I guess. If you're asking me to put on a gown, I guess I could do that. And then I was already like keeping up with world events because I was like in a really rigorous like high school institution. So I felt fairly confident about it. But I guess not enough to know that pale and proud is a bad thing to say.
From
now-
Indiana specifically, just really puts the icing on the
This
cake.
was a while ago too, and I think now you'd be like, oh yeah, no.
No, I know.
I mean, obviously, like without disclosing any personal information, like, do you know any girls that did struggle mentally back then? I feel like, especially for teenagers. I mean, Jesus
Yeah, I mean,
fuck.
I think there's a lot of, I once again said I was like naturally very thin, so I didn't have like the body issues as much. I mean, I
Yeah.
knew that like, I still didn't feel,
I'm like la-ti-da.
yeah.
You should have tried swimming.
Yeah.
you did.
You know, the thing is, I couldn't swim. Even though my dad was anyway. Very good swimmer. I should finish the sentence. My dad is a very good swimmer. So like, even though my dad,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
a good thing to say.
I was like,
Threw me in the water at a young age.
I was like, we're revealing her as a white supremacist. We're revealing something else.
My dad. No, my dad's a nationally recognized swim coach. It is what it is, and I can't really swim. But that's because I had 3 sets of tubes in my ears as a kid. So I wasn't allowed underwater.
That'll do
But
it.
anyway,
Off to pageants you go.
off to
Off to
pageants I
pageants.
Go
went.
get body images issues
Yeah.
somewhere, baby.
Yeah, and it was I hadn't met a lot of like anyone who had like political opinions, to be honest, that like were separate from their parents. So listening to the Miss contestants speak about world events was a little eye-opening for me. I will say at the time I was very religious, and I like had gone on the March for Life twice, and so I would hear other things, even though I know I just said I was very worldly informed.
I get it.
You were
Yeah,
nuanced.
I was
You were a teenager,
mentally
yeah.
like laying on the ground. Like, I absorbed things that made sense to me. Like in the Bible, it's like poverty's bad. Don't be mean to people.
And you're like,
great.
right.
And then, but then it's also like abortion is murder.
Sure.
And so I would hear like people. I remember someone's platform was March for Dimes, so I was like, oh, so when they come out of the womb, it's fine, but when they're in, you don't care.
Oh my god.
I mean, that's classic, like when you're a kid, and then,
Yeah.
and then your
Yeah.
frontal lobe develops some, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
radicalized the other way. Like, my parents are like excruciatingly liberal. That's the only way I can describe it. It's like there's no reasoning with them. Like, they just go as left as they can possibly go on everything all the time. And so like when I was younger, I would be crazy left too. Like, if I met a religious person, I'd be like, well, that's stupid. It's like, that's incredibly rude and ignorant to say
Yeah.
and horrible. My parents were like indoctrinating me in a different terrible way. You know what I mean?
interesting.
I think as you get older, you just realize your parents are humans.
Yeah.
They're doing their
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
We're
And
all
they
just-
really shouldn't be talking about that kind of stuff in front of their, like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, if
impressionable
anyone is, you
daughter.
should probably talk about
Yeah.
your parents probably should.
I do feel like my one pageant-esque experience was like when I formed a lot of opinions on things, because, you know, it's like your junior year. I think I was taking like AP government and stuff like that year. And for the interview, you had to have answers on like how you feel about abortion and how you feel about all this stuff. And I'd like never thought about it.
Right.
And
Why would you have?
Yeah. And so then I started like
not
having
applicable.
very strong opinions.
Yeah.
And my family was like, "Are you a socialist?" Like, what is happening? And my parents are like,
that must be so exhausting when your fucking kid
I
comes
know.
home and wants
Yeah.
to chat about capitalism.
I'm going
You're
to
like,
hate it.
Jesus, I just got back from work.
I want to
Eat
be like,
the
oh,
chicken.
yeah, boo-hoo.
I
Get to
just
live in
the
this nice
chicken and
house,
go
you
to do your
really
homework.
remember having conversations with my mom being like, "What do you think about abortion?" And she was like, "Okay." But then the interview section was so fun for me because I was like, "Yeah, I'll tell you what I think."
yeah.
They said there's no wrong answer, so here we go.
Let's let
Yeah,
it rip.
well, and that is the thing. Like, they really just want you, like, I do believe this to be true, at least in the capacity that I was in. They were like, there is no wrong answer. It is how well you can. It's like almost like speech and debate. Like, it's how well
That's
you
cool.
can form your opinion, and if you like can back it up.
Yeah.
Because they're not there to like argue with you. They're just there to like see
I like
how
that.
well articulated you are, and that is a big part of it. So I did get very good at interviewing and like being off the cuff and things like that. But I was a little too weird for them. I was,
Yeah,
I
I
was
do
a straight up
low-key think
weirdo.
that my
That's
strong
so
opinions is
cute.
why I didn't win, because they like
How unladylike of you. to
yeah
have these strong
they did like
opinions.
points, and then when they got to the final three, they just ranked
Right.
you.
They were like, that was
They just
gross.
pick one.
Yeah.
She said a lot of words in a
They were
row,
like,
and
she
we
has
hated
some
that.
strong opinions, and this is Eastern North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Some
say
of those
no.
words were big too. It's
Yeah.
like,
No,
ew,
that's-
have you
it's like
read
she can
before?
read.
That's what I tell myself. I'm
I
like,
don't
I was
like that at all.
actually too smart to win.
Well,
Yeah.
this is actually a big tactic that you would do is you would get the bios of the judges. They would give them
Oh.
to you. Sometimes they would give them to you like a few days in advance. Sometimes you'd get them with the program day of, and you before your interview you would go through and pick out things that were important to them. So like, okay, this person is a community leader. So like, I need to talk about like what you made them like you, which was this weird reverse
That is
psychology, but a really good
interesting.
skill to
I
learn.
was just
It
gonna say that's a
is.
really good
It's
skill
a really
to
good skill,
know.
and I like still to this day will like look if I'm interviewing for a job, I'll look at like things that were important to them
Fit
and
it
like
in.
look at their LinkedIn. It's a very
Yeah.
it's a good skill that I learned.
Wow,
And I
that's the real world, baby.
but I will say sometimes
Hunger
I'd be
Games.
like
Manipulate people.
I'm like, they're a professor of opera. They're gonna go with opera girl. That's why they went with opera girl, and like that actually helped it be way less personal.
Yeah,
But I
that's
had a
good.
good head on my shoulders
Yeah.
about it. Although it would just be, I would at the end of every season, I would get very sad. I'd be like, ugh, like I wish I was better. But
It's almost kind of like stand up when, you know, maybe you don't get picked for a festival or whatever, and then the lineup comes out and you're like, oh, well, they just like weren't looking for my type
Yeah.
of
Yes,
humor.
that actually
What I'm
happened
selling.
to me
Yeah.
somewhat recently, and I was looking at the lineup, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I would have absolutely bombed these shows."
Right.
I was like, "This is like, you know, these people are great, but they are so not the vibe that I'm bringing to
Totally.
the table,"
Right,
and I
right.
fully get that.
Sure.
And it's kind of nice when you can see that, and you're like, "Yeah, maybe I'm not for everyone.
100%.
That's fine."
And I'm not, and I get rejected a lot.
yeah.
So,
It's so important to get rejected.
So what I'm saying is, yeah,
growth
put your
potential.
children
I'm over it, to
in
be honest with you.
pageants, let them get rejected at a young age, and then go from there. Because it's not like they're dancing, because then that's based on your skill alone. So if you suck
Right.
at dancing, you suck at dancing. But if you're bad at pageants, what does that mean?
Okay, but
Yeah,
dancing though
right.
is also subjective in
No,
a way.
totally. I was kind of making that up.
But I always think about like if I had played sports growing up and it was just like you lost, like
Yeah.
you win, you lose, yeah. And then I was dancing and
Pretty
so-
brutal.
yeah, we're like, how was that?
And it's
And
not
it was
great.
also just you.
Also, it's like against your friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, oh, not just did you lose, she won.
yeah. And you
And-
have
or
to
people
stand
who
there on
were-
the podium probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or
I'm
and people who were
assuming.
like your teammates and on your relay 20 minutes before.
Exactly. All the time.
Yeah, no,
It was brutal.
That is brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I only played hockey, but it was like a team sport. So, like, we're all in it together, and then if we lose, we have to lose, you know, gracefully. It's like part of it. I have to let my laundry guy in. Sorry, one second.
laundry.
I know. How nice is this
That is really
little
nice.
feature I have, though?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
so that's why we have Good Girls Gone Sad the podcast, because we got sad.
Very
We got
sad.
sad.
So,
We got sad.
Many inputs. in
yeah.
the sadness.
Do you have anything else to add just about like pageantry, about what do you think is going on? Do you think that it's mostly just like mismanagement, or do you think there's something deeper, like some sort of like pedophilia scandal? Because I think maybe something like that.
I don't.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were
Yeah.
thinking. Like we were talking about it. Why would they resign both of them so suddenly
Yeah.
together? it's got to be something big, right?
I do. I think that
Something happened.
I think Lila's
not-
a bad.
It's not just
person.
tax fraud, right?
Well, I don't think. Well, I don't think that they'd be legally bound to anything like that. But I will say, last year or 2 years ago, there was a huge controversy that it seemed very rigged. Who won?
Oh,
Does
Really?
anybody
No.
remember
I
this?
remember that,
There
yeah.
was like all of these, and nothing has been conclusive. I'm obviously very political. I'm like, I'm not putting anything on the organization.
Just in
of
case
Miss
you
USA.
get back in there.
Allegedly.
Right, just in case. Well,
In case you go in for another round.
so I'm like, why did these girls quit? Just in case. I'm like, oh, that's all alleged. It's alleged. But it was very rigged. Like, apparently, even down to the telecast, you could like tell. Like, I think the person who ended up winning was like in all of the promos for the prize package.
Oh.
And it was like video of her there, or like things were filmed before she won. That like she had it, and people were like, what's going on here?
It makes sense. I mean, you would think that there'd be some people that bet on it and shit, and then the judges can get, you know, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and the new social media manager is just some guy from The Bachelor.
No way.
Look it up. I forget who it is.
Oh my God, that's so
Someone who
crazy.
was on The Bachelor.
Someone
or
who's just on The
somebody who
Bachelor.
worked for The
No,
Bachelor?
someone
Okay.
on The Bachelor.
Is someone social media manager now? Like that role, is that like a public facing role?
It wasn't for the contestants. It was for the like.
So are
Miss
they
Universe
the ones
pages.
speaking to the camera?
No.
Okay. So it's just the guy filming the shit?
Yeah.
But also like approving
And, like,
posts and like
community manager probably.
making.
I'm just
captions and
surprised
things
that
like
it's such a public that we know
Yeah.
who that is.
Why
It's
can't-
not
I think it
just
was
some
because
random
she's-
ass 19-year-old.
It's because she stepped down.
and I think
Ah.
she
And
stepped
she
down
could-
first, right? And it was
Right.
only after the other
I
two
can't
stepped
find
down
who
that
it is.
she's gotten attention.
I
For
think
that.
maybe, yeah.
I think I saw that.
And then 2 other people were fired
Yeah.
on the organization as well. But if you go look at the post, it's like the CEO is like in most of the photos, and it's like her
Yeah.
doing philanthropy, and it's like, this isn't about you. What's going on here? And
Right.
like Gretchen in Miss America 2.0 also made it very much about her, so people are feeling it's like the same kind of thing. But I mean, I
I'm
think
like, the
that-
CEO of this organization is a narcissist?
That's wild. That is wild. It's a
Isn't Mike
scholarship
Fleiss-
fund.
Mike Fleiss from The Bachelor is married to a former Miss USA.
Is he? Because ABC is Miss America, I believe.
Okay, then maybe it's Miss America. Maybe I think she was Miss Wisconsin.
Oh,
I think.
I
I don't know.
it's
I could
hard
be saying
because
a lot of wrong
Miss
things.
Wisconsin could be anybody. That could be Miss Earth. That could be
That's
Miss.
true.
Yeah.
But there is some
Girl
sort
down the
of
street.
Miss Earth? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
There is a Bachelor
Miss Universe and Miss Earth?
connection,
Miss Universe is a bold claim.
right?
That's really
I
really
would be
big.
so offended if I were like
Some
in Mars.
aliens?
I'm like, excuse me, I am the hottest girl on Mars.
No
You
one
better-
gave me the opportunity to compete.
Like, we don't know
And
if
I
there's
believe-
life out there. We just know that I'm the hottest one.
Right.
It's actually so cocky.
Because I think it was, I don't know, one of them is Miss United States, which is different than Miss USA, which
Oh
is
my
different than Miss
goodness.
America.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
so there's
And it-
like 8 different programs.
Yes. They're corporations.
But I there's that much money in this? Should I start one?
So it's
I
good.
guess
It's
so.
good networking and training
Miss-
grounds. It's like along the lines of like where a sorority, if you're in the right one, can get you.
Interesting.
That makes
And
sense.
if Miss
Yeah.
Teen and Miss America, like I know the Miss America's Outstanding Teen is what it's called. Like that's the Miss Teen America. The teen version of Miss America is Miss America's Outstanding Teen. If you are a representative of your state, you get like 80% ride to Alabama.
Wow.
not
that's
not
so
even
like
one
there's
time
a lot of
was
scholarship
this
program.
were any of these programs presented to me. I did
No.
4-H. That's what I did.
Okay, well,
Also important.
You learned a lot.
I raised a goat, okay?
That's
That's what I did
beautiful.
over here.
Well, I tried to do that too. I tried to do fashion and cake decorating. My mom's like, "Are you gonna decorate a cake?" And I was like, "Probably not." Thanks for signing me up, though.
That does
Thanks for
sound
signing
cute.
me up.
That's good.
Fashion was interesting, but it was because it was about like fiber content and things like that. It wasn't like there was sewing too, but then there was like fashion.
Then they were
something.
like, child labor, stop.
yeah,
Stop sewing.
essentially. But
Cool.
I think those are there's just something really fishy going on with the Miss USA stuff. And there was definitely like after Me Too, a very big pageant reckoning of
That makes
I could
sense.
see that.
like
If any-
why are these women exploiting themselves? I'm like, because they want to. Like, I mean, if America's cool with sex work, it's got to be okay with pageants.
You're right.
That's fair. That's a great point.
The
actually.
one
I'm not
caveat-
equating them at all, but like,
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Sid's gonna
clip
get
it,
canceled.
You
yeah.
are never going to miss.
Well, it just to me it feels a little like I thought this was about women's equality and letting her do whatever she wants. And like if you look at the
Yeah.
like the degrees these women hold, and they are like definitely more. I think it's also important to people who grew up watching it, who are now competing, that are part of marginalized groups. Like, it is so important for them to see themselves and like getting to compete now.
Sure.
2 points on that. One, I agree with you. Mine is for the kids.
That's what I was gonna say.
That feels like
When they're too young.
a fair place to, and I'm glad that they're doing like athleisure or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
For them, that's great. And then the second point is, why don't we have a version of this for dudes? Or maybe we do.
They're not so much. Not
So
so
that's what. I want to see some hot. I want to see some
Yeah.
hot guys. Let's see the
I
hottest.
mean, they're welcome
hottest
to-
guy in New York. Let's go. I'll watch.
I believe they've tried to do things like that. Men just don't want to compete.
The
in
gays?
it.
But they
Well,
sure
there's-
do go on The
Well,
Bachelor.
then that's
so
yeah, or
Probably
like,
that, and also there's probably just not an audience for it either. You know,
right.
What
Well, I mean, like
The
there's-
gays.
Well, they're
The
okay.
gays will watch.
So that is like there's a huge gay pageant system like in drag. Like
So, but
Miss
it's interesting.
Continental is
I thought you were
like
gonna say Miss Cunt. I was like, where do I watch this?
Miss Gay America.
Bravo.
You know Randy from What Not to Wear?
Yes,
He was Miss Gay America.
Oh, wow.
and
Okay, so
it's
there is
like,
a gay American.
Oh yeah, there's a huge pageantry system for drag performers, and it honestly follows like very similarly the lines. There's like talent, interview, like on stage persona. You're wearing an evening gown. But so if gay men want to participate, it seems that that's the avenue they go down.
Yeah,
Interesting.
interesting. I wish there was a
And there's
version
like
for
a
them.
grand, great history in all of that too.
That's cool.
very cool. Okay, well, this is great. Maybe I'll enter a fucking pageant.
Yeah.
This sounds
No,
awesome.
you're too old. I just said that.
that can be our way in.
Miss Geriatric USA.
No, there's Mrs. Pageants.
Okay, can we
there's
do
Mrs.
this
America.
old
Because
bitch
Ballerina
pageant or
Farm.
whatever?
Oh, Ballerina Farm competes in Mrs.
Ballerina Farm was Mrs.
Who the
Utah.
fuck is that?
Oh, we don't have time to get into Ballerina Farm.
You'll just have to have us back.
Look her up in your free time. She's fascinating. She's like one of those like homesteader wives that like
okay.
you know left their life in New York. She went to Juilliard and she left her life in New York City to go raise like 8 children on a farm. in
Right, and
Utah.
make like cheese from
And her
scratch.
name is
husband's like an
Ballerina?
heiress.
Because she was a professional
No,
ballerina.
she has a real name, but Ballerina Farm is like her Instagram.
Oh,
name.
okay.
But
That's
she
like a handle.
was.
Wasn't she a ballerina? That's why she
She
went
went
to Juilliard.
to Juilliard for ballet. I don't know if she was a professional ballerina afterwards.
Sure.
I've
All
seen
right.
Black Swan. I get it. Honestly, she's probably doing
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
fine now.
All of her
burnt
kids'
out.
names are like, you know, Martha.
on point.
and, like, I mean, I love Martha. But
I was
they
like,
are all,
I was waiting for you to say balloon, and
No,
you
no,
went.
they're
It's
not.
like Martha.
No, they're not bad. They're just like very old-fashioned.
Country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Lou and Francis and Martha. And,
Oh.
yeah.
It sounds
It's
like
appropriating.
Pretty cute. Yeah, it does sound like
all
my
of your
friends.
friends.
Yeah.
all of her friends.
The
have
only
very
trad
similar
wife
names.
on mine is I get that Nara. Was her name Nara Smith?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I get
She
that really tan.
Makes it
hot-
look nice.
Is
Yeah,
she,
that's
the,
the
is she
one.
that one? Oh my
Yeah.
god,
And
she's
she holds
stunning.
her baby like this with the long nails. And she like holds his head, and I'm like,
I'm like,
"Hey,
you did not get those nails done in the
Yeah.
country wherever the fuck you are.
No.
No, she's like kind of like maybe poser homesteader, but
I love her.
Ballerina Farm, it's like,
She's like homemaking Oreos. I'm like, why?
yeah, it's like
It's
my
so
child wanted
funny.
a sandwich, so I'm gonna make a loaf of bread from scratch.
Right,
It's
right.
like, okay.
I cannot do that.
Would you guys get Pearl or whatever?
Pearl, yeah, pearly things. Oh my god,
Wait, what?
that girl who's like
Yeah.
wicked combative and horrible and the worst person ever.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I get. I don't
I
get
get
the
her
like
too.
lovely version of it. I get the like.
Wait,
She's
I
a
don't know
homesteader?
Pearl.
no, because she's not married.
Her name is Pearl. I don't know what her last name is, but
She's the Republican, right?
she's the Republican
Yeah.
redheaded girl, and she's always arguing
Oh.
with people or whatever.
Is she the one who says?
in the most idiotic ways. She never has
Yeah.
had one single good point.
Yeah, and she's like,
And I'm open minded about that shit. Like if you're Ben Shapiro and you have a good point, I'll say, all right, that's not bad. But like she's never made a good point that I've seen ever, not one time.
She's not the one with that TikTok that's going around that's like, I'm not a feminist, I can actually cook.
no, that's just some girl.
That's just some girl. Okay.
Oh wow.
That's just some girl.
To be fair, I can't cook.
I
God
can't
damn
cook at
it.
all.
I'm getting better.
Yeah.
I can't cook at all, and I don't want to. And
I
that's
can't
feminism.
cook, but I'm going to chalk that up to life in New York City.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
true.
hard.
We're
If I
bad
had a
bitches are
bitches.
kitchen
small.
where it was, hospitable to cook, I would be very good. Oh no,
Yeah.
actually, it was like the last meal I made was for my boyfriend.
Oh my god, trad wife in training.
Trad wife in training.
Quality
so
food just like
nice.
isn't important to me. I think.
No, the other day I
like-
was craving an Uncrustable.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Have one.
What could have a peanut butter and jelly, but
Yeah.
when you could have,
When it could have been frozen.
Uncrustable.
when it
Could
could
have
have
been
been at one
frozen.
point frozen. Yeah.
Yeah. That's elite. I
It's
would
beautiful.
say. Yeah. That's actually a good segue into, we wanted to, while you guys were on, so the theme of your podcast is about growing up in a hyper-religious environment. Am I right? I'm correct about this. Okay.
Yes, but also like being self-imposed in that way. Like you yourself were the good girl. We felt very at home in those spaces. I will
Okay,
say.
cool.
And now
High
we,
achiever.
high achieve.
Any of that fits into the category.
Got
Type A
it.
little girl.
So I wanted to talk about a little bit of a taboo
Semi-pro
subject. Speaking of like trad wives and that kind of thing. I don't know if this is necessarily exactly that, but I want to talk about purity culture and your experience around purity culture. So obviously that means it's like the purity rings, the fucking I saw that there was like a purity thong or something.
Oh, gosh.
Like, there's like
Seems
a bunch
such
of
like an oxymoron
yeah,
right
like
there.
purity underwear that
Seems
have
like
like
Satan's
on
work.
it like one love, one sex or something. I don't know.
Oh.
I should have done that.
Yeah. Which,
That sounds hot.
yeah, which is juxtaposed to the many, many Victoria's Secret thongs that I opened up on Christmas in front of my father when I was like
God.
13 years old.
Oh my gosh.
But,
Just cheetah print, devils on them. Dad's like,
but so, obviously it's basically like you're not supposed to have sex before marriage. If you do, you're dirty. And, it kind of like fetishizes virginity and all that stuff.
Sorry, I'm actually.
What are you
so
laughing
funny
at?
about underwear is that like I remember feeling dirty wearing my weekend underwear because I was like bad things happen on the weekend.
Oh my God.
Wait, why did you have weekend underwear?
No, because I had like days of the week.
Oh.
So like my Saturday, Sunday, I was like my Saturday and Friday underwear. I was like, ooh, it's like my Saturday,
oh, because
Friday.
I'm going to black out.
You're
No.
gonna be a bad girl.
So
I
do
did
a bad thing. Yeah.
Is that karma?
I was.
Oh, yeah, that's JoJo Siwa right there.
I was terribly pure. I signed a purity pledge. I have the
Okay.
card somewhere.
Did you as well?
I never signed anything, but I did.
You
Didn't want to be
under
legally
contract.
bound.
Yeah.
We also did it in school, where you should be doing that kind of thing for sure.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I
this
went to
better have
Catholic
been
school.
Okay, thank
Yeah, I
God.
went to Catholic school for 12 years,
Just-
and so the Catholic high schoolers would come to like the 7th graders, and they'd be like, sign this purity pledge.
Wait, what? The high schoolers would come to the 7th
Yeah,
graders.
they
Why
had,
did they need to be involved? Not like a
because
teacher?
because that made it seem less creepy. It actually does seem less creepy in the moment. It was the high schoolers coming to the. Because
Versus
like, it would be girls with girls and like boys with boys. Like it wasn't
Okay,
boys
that's better.
being like,
yeah.
or it'd be boys being like, I struggle with purity.
Yeah.
It's probably
or like
meant to be,
there's
a
2
cool
holes.
factor.
One's okay.
And it's probably, yeah, because like
Yeah.
we respected the high schoolers more than we did. And it was like,
Okay.
this is like the places we'll be going next year. But the name specifically of the club that we had was a promise to keep. And it was a promise to keep yourself for Jesus.
Okay.
And we signed a card. And the idea was that you would give that to your husband on the day of the night of
Oh
marriage.
boy! Wow. Okay.
Well,
This is your license to.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yours, buddy. It was
You are
like
certified?
it was like your literal V card.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Kind of like a
crazy.
literal V card. And I mean, this is a joke in my set, so apologies if you've heard it, but like we do.
Little
like,
preview.
we literally had. They showed a video that was like. This girl sitting there being like, I didn't know I could get an STI from oral sex, and I had no idea what oral sex was, and so I literally thought it was you couldn't talk about sex. I thought oral
Oh
sex
my
was talking about sex.
That's crazy.
Because they like told us all these things, and we were like, "What's gonorrhea?
Yeah,
like,
they
what's
just-
a penis? What
What's
are you?
a penis?
What are you talking about?"
Oh my God.
So purity culture.
That makes sense. Oral sex. You're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, you can't talk about. Like,
Yeah.
I thought it was like phone sex.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you should be having phone sex as a teenager. It's the most safe sex you
that
could possibly
is,
have.
that they should be promoting
They
phone
should be
sex.
promoting-
That's what they should
Yeah,
be
they should
encouraging.
be.
So then.
There's also like anti-masturbation as well. They're
Oh,
not,
100%.
you're not allowed to masturbate.
Well, men specifically are not supposed to because you're not supposed to spread your seed without the intent of having a child.
of course.
Oh my God. They're such tense boys.
I know. They're probably
things.
punching so many more holes than regular
Yeah.
boys.
So true.
Well,
And regular boys are punching a lot of drywall as well. So
in my
true.
class of 42, there was only 3 boys, so they had like
Why?
I don't know, blame it on the soil in Indiana. I don't know. God
There's
was
a
like,
story there, I
God was
think.
like, too many basketball players from this state. We're quelling.
Damn.
We are full, all right?
Full of boys, tall boys. I don't know what the I can't tell you.
Whoa, having a crush, that means the slim pickings.
No, we all thought they were weird. Like none of us.
They
We had,
probably-
like, we had like celebrity crushes, but no one of us had crushes on them.
Well,
They
they
were
probably
weird guys.
had their boners tucked into their fucking belt loops the entire time. They couldn't talk to anybody.
This actually did happen.
like legit.
Oh, those poor guys. I feel so bad for them.
My Catholic high school had more than that, but I did have a very devout boyfriend in high school. I never saw his penis in 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Damn, that is like a level. You know what? Honestly, that like shows a lot of
Fear.
diligence.
Chutzpah.
No.
I would guess.
No.
I
We
feel
were
like-
just really afraid, honestly.
Okay.
And
And
that, like,
I feel like that would prepare you to be a good employee, you know?
Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up, don't ask questions, and do
Yeah.
some
You
stuff
are
you don't want to do.
following the fucking rule.
It's
Right.
good, you're not going to like it, all right?
I will say, but like once I left purity culture, I was like, oh, so nothing means anything anymore. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
But like one of my, I mean, and that
But not really.
But that,
Yeah.
by that I mean I took a half a gummy last night and played Stardew Valley.
She's
so
crazy.
She's a
and
bat.
actually
She's a good
Stardew
girl
Valley
gone
really
sad.
Yeah, actually,
Gone
Stardew
bad.
Valley really stressed me out.
you should have never effed around.
Yeah, I should have. I also I slapped people if they cursed. I gave them profanity slaps. I was like, God doesn't. I slapped them.
Like
And
assault.
now she says the F word on
I
her
say
podcast.
I say fuck a lot.
You're crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, she doesn't though.
I don't.
She doesn't curse on the pod.
That's fine.
But
Yeah, I should say that less, honestly. It is kind of unbecoming and, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But,
Fuck
but
if
not
you have
because
any-
of purity
if you have
culture.
any
Just 'cause-
questions about purity culture,
yeah, just because I don't want YouTube to be shadow banning us.
Oh, yeah. I begged for a purity ring. My parents said no.
They said no.
They said
Parents were like, that's
no.
some, no.
No, they literally were like, we're not going to pay
Shut it
money.
down.
Like, I remember my mom was like, we're not going to pay money, so people like, no, you're not having sex. Like, that's weird.
Yeah, they're not wrong.
And they're not. They weren't wrong.
They were not wrong.
So speaking of parents knowing that you're not having sex, I found I'm like super ignorant about this kind of stuff. So I was just looking up things about purity and like purity culture, and there's purity balls, which are not testicles. They are purity like galas.
Well, those three boys had them.
if you will. So first of all, have you been to a purity ball? Either one of you guys? Okay.
No.
No. So from what I surmise, it's essentially the fathers and daughters dress up in ball gown attire, oftentimes with the daughter kind of like low-key wearing a wedding dress from the images I saw. And then they go to a dinner and dance together, and basically it's kind of like they do like a vow and a ritual to say that the woman is not going to have sex before marriage. And the father is very much involved with keeping her hymen intact.
Yikes.
So, and I saw a few images. So there's like mostly it's teenagers. I mean, I
That's
don't
almost
know.
worse. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, they're both really bad.
So anyway,
I just don't like the visual of this because we've seen way too many celebrity couples that look a little too close.
You know what? This looks like fucking Midsommar or some shit. Especially
Yeah,
like
it
the
does.
scenery. It's
Oh,
probably.
I want you to
Why-
know
why
that
is
no
there-
one's been smiling in a single.
They're literally
Video.
drilling for oil right behind this couple.
Yeah.
Sorry, sorry, father and daughter.
To be fair,
A couple until she's married.
this
Yeah,
is
it's true.
to be completely fair, this is from like some photographer's exhibit. So I don't know if he instructed them not to smile because it.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Because she looks absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's a
there's
terrifying
one.
picture.
But one of these is with these small children, probably of the ages of like 3 and 5, I would guess. And I'm like, what the fuck do they have to be talking about their hymen yet? Like, just
Yeah.
take it easy. They're not gonna. Hopefully, they're not in danger of having sex yet.
Yeah, that's a little girl. Oh,
I mean,
don't
it does like
this.
start that young though. The conversations about like
purity.
being purity, because I mean, it's literally not just about sex. It's like how you dress, how you like. It's about like being quiet sometimes, like being meek.
This has gotta have gotten less popular, huh?
No, it's actually kind of having.
A
I think it's kind of
resurgence?
resurging with like don't go on the don't go on birth control kind of. It's like that. It's kind
Yeah.
of rebranding as that. Like birth control is really bad for you. Da da da.
Speaking of, so you brought up off
I
air
actually-
the Bumble ad.
Yeah, I don't know details on it, but I know that people were really mad about the anti-celibacy, I think it was.
Yeah, so
Like, don't be celibate.
Yeah, well, so what I've seen is that there's billboards. I think they're out in LA, and they're like, we all know celibacy is not the answer. And then people on my TikTok feed, at least, have been like, stay strong, ladies. And I'm like, how is this my feed?
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm married. I'm not staying strong at all. I'm having sex a
Right.
lot. Like,
I have been really confused by the backlash as well, but I just thought it was me.
Yeah, I haven't really been
No,
able to
I've been
figure
getting
out
it
like
too.
what
everyone's
side
mad about.
people are on.
Hold on,
I
let's-
think what people are trying to say is they're like, oh, this is like society trying to pressure you into being over sexualized or something. And I'm like, yeah, but then like what you're saying is very anti-women too. So I don't know I don't know what the point of this TikTok is.
Yeah, I watched like one TikTok about it earlier today, and I couldn't really figure out what the stance was. And I was like, I don't like it. Like, it makes me feel icky, and it feels so like, we understand you're a sex positive girlie. Like,
I think it's also
I didn't
because
like
the person
that.
in it is like wearing a mesh top, and I'm like, oh, this person was like engineered in a lab to be young and cool
Right.
with the sunglasses.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
Apparently, TikTokers are laying into Bumble for encouraging women to solve their dating problems by just having sex, all while brushing the very valid reasons they choose to abstain under the rug. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what I mean?
fine.
You don't
You need
always.
to find a more eloquent TikToker then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been very confused.
I was super
Yeah,
confused.
to be fair, I saw a few TikToks and they were just like, and this is why I'm an expert who's going to be able to help you. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's a
Right.
minute and a half in. I'm like, all right, I got to
To
keep
me,
going.
it was giving like, how are you doing, fellow kids? Or how do you do, fellow kids? or
Oh,
whatever
yes.
that
Oh, yeah.
is.
Shemmy.
I was just kind of like, oh, yeah, we're actually for Gen Z now. And like, it just, I
Yeah.
feel like every time a brand tries to do that, it's like, okay.
Well, I didn't know if it was like specifically targeting because Gen Z is like not having sex and they're not driving and they're like
Yeah.
doing all these things. And I'm like, if they're just telling Gen Z to have sex, that makes me extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
apparently in the commercial, they showed a woman attempting to swear off dating and she became a nun. Yeah, literally. And abandoned her convent after drooling over a sexy shirtless gardener and receiving an illicit phone loaded with the Bumble app. So I guess I can understand why everyone's like, all right.
I do understand. From
Why-
that perspective, it sounds like they're being like anti-celibacy culture. I
And also,
guess.
like, specifically nuns being celibate is religious. Like, it's a
Yeah.
religious reason. It's not like, I don't,
yeah.
It's not like a sex positivity thing.
no,
like,
it's not
nuns.
like, right. No, they're like, it's irrelevant because
Did you guys ever watch the movie The Sisters Magdalene?
No.
Have I talked about this on the
No,
podcast?
you haven't.
No.
So my mother was like obsessed with this movie and we watched it several times and it was basically it was about these nuns in like Ireland. I think it was like in the 80s or 90s and like they do something like bad, like have sex before marriage or something, and then they get sent to this like crazy, I don't know what the fuck you would do, like a women's prison basically, but it's like a covenant.
This is in Ireland?
It's in Ireland.
This is like a real thing that happened.
It's a real
too.
thing that
Yeah,
happened.
it was like an epidemic. Of
Yes.
Terrible. And they, sorry,
And,
you continue. But
and
I know about
basically,
this, from a book
this
I read.
movie that I watched with my mother several times is essentially like the nuns are wicked repressed, and then they're all like eating each other out. And shit.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And your mom's
Yeah.
like, another round.
Yeah, and like the priest comes around, and they're like having sex with the priest and like sucking his dick.
What is this,
Yeah, I did not watch that one with my
Okay,
mother.
so if
And then they run away. The girls that are in like the prison run.
This is basically the
away.
Bumble ad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you want something that's not that, but you want to learn about the Magdalene washeries, you can read Small Things as These.
Oh, that sounds good. Because I mean, I was fascinated. But I was like, besides
short
the
story.
weird oral sex that's happening every once in a while, this is a really fascinating thing.
Yeah, well, it was
Yeah.
basically, and it was like the Catholic Church doing something bad, shocker, but
Yeah.
basically if you were like an unwed mother or something, they would separate you from your child, and then you would go work in these laundries, which were essentially like involuntary prison. Like you
Yeah.
could be
Wow.
without committing like a crime. It wasn't
Yeah.
like illegal to be an unwed mother, but they would.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's very bad.
But yeah, I tried to watch. I rented that movie again, like a few years ago. It's actually very
Tradition.
poorly produced, very bad. But when the first time I saw it, it blew my damn mind.
Can't wait for
So.
you to have a kid one day and then be like, just strap in. We're watching Sisters Magdalene.
She just turns 13. I'm like, okay, and play.
Yeah. Oh, back to the purity balls, because I've been looking at this picture of this creepy looking dad.
Kind of looks like Scott Disick, by the way.
Yeah, it does.
It looks a lot like Scott Disick,
Yeah.
actually.
That's hilarious. Okay.
I knew people growing up. Well, I think, first of all, the father-daughter dance has roots
Now that you,
in this like type of purity thing, because it's supposed to be like your dad's showing you what a gentleman is and like
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah, and I don't mind that necessarily. There's
Yeah.
ways to hint at that without.
Yeah, being
Sure.
so overt. But I knew people growing up who did have purity rings, and their fathers would like take them on a date to show them how a man should treat you, and then like talk to them on that date about purity.
Yeah,
My
wanna
dad
talk to
that
my
was
would
dad.
have
fairly-
rather died
No,
than
my
talk
dad
to
would
me
would.
not.
My dad
purity.
would.
Not have
He
that.
would walk out on the family before he did that. He would be like, "It's a better use of my time to leave for cigarettes and never come
I'm
back."
gonna go start a new family rather than do that. No fucking way.
We had like, I think I had like one conversation with my mom where she was like, your father and I think that you should save sex for marriage. And I was like, oh yeah, I mean, sex is gross. Okay, we're good. I was like, let's stop this conversation forever.
I think I remember being like, Mom, you know I'm not having sex, right? And she went, yeah, I was pretty confident. That energy. Like, unprompted, I'd be like, you know we're not having sex.
That's so
I
funny.
used to
Stop bringing
reassure
it
my
up.
mom sometimes because my high school boyfriend had sex before and during while we dated, but not with me. But I didn't know that at the time.
You know what's very funny? My mom is European, and they're very, like, do not care about that. So they'd let me sleep over at my high school
Wow.
boyfriend's house.
Oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
were
And his
you
parents were
pure?
No, not at all. And they were like, cool, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
here's birth control. Good luck.
Yeah. I
Wow.
went on birth control immediately.
Yeah.
following my
I think that was the
period.
big thing. They were like,
Yeah.
let's get to the doctor, like, right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, my,
Are your
like-
periods heavy? And I'm like, kinda. And they're like, yeah. Your periods are heavy. Let's
Yeah.
go.
See, mine was like I had to leave school because my periods were so bad, and I would get like just awful like stomach pains and
Oh,
stuff.
damn.
And then I was like, I think I need to go on birth control, but I don't want to ask for it because I don't want my mom to think I'm having sex.
Oh no.
My parents were like
I
baiting
was
me
18.
into it.
I was a senior in high school.
It was
and I was
time.
like,
Oh no, I didn't go on until I was 27?
last year?
Yeah. Till I was 27, 28, and that was because I do have like currently a heavy flow.
Wow.
And
Wow.
Brave.
I literally
Stunning.
had to go to therapy because of it. I was like, I still feel dirty. Like that was like that's probably like the last vestige of like the purity
Wow.
culture because they tell you birth control is so bad.
Wow.
I never
So
got that
bad.
message specifically, but I did like I would tell people I was on birth control for my bad periods. Like I would like lead
Make
with
sure,
that
yeah.
so that people would know.
Which is, by the way, a completely valid reason.
yeah.
So.
But I felt like I had to be like, yes, but I am on it because of this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not for
was
sex.
that was a big thing. And I also think like I don't know if I would have been able to convince myself to go on it unless it was because I had a heavy flow. But I was like, I don't even want to talk about it. Like I didn't even go to the gynecologist until I was 25 because I was like,
Oh wow.
she's gonna talk to me, and I don't think I can be talked to. Or I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think she's gonna look in there and no one. It was like
Yeah.
That's wild. Because it's like, that's like just the
doctor.
doctor.
That's like
Yeah.
basic health.
What if
as
things were
well.
going
Yeah.
on down
Yeah.
there? And you
yeah,
needed-
what if something was really wrong? And then I got to the point where I was like, well, what if something's really wrong? And like
Oh, and
now
then-
it's like I don't want to
Yeah.
know that either.
Yeah.
Well, and there's nothing like going to the gynecologist and they're like, so, like, are you sexually active? And you're like, no. And they're like, really? And you're like, yep.
I was like,
I'm not lying.
in this economy in Manhattan, and you go, oh, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
like,
what do
I
you do
don't
for
know.
Have you gotten Bumble on your phone? You should.
They're sponsored by Bumble.
Yeah. and what do you do for work? I work in fashion and I also do stand up comedy. And they're like, huh? And I go, okay. Why are they always asking what we're doing for work?
Yeah.
Why
Why
do
do they
gynecologists
do
care so
that?
much?
I think it's just like so you have something to talk about while they're.
I feel like I always have to
probing
write
around.
it down though too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like that for all doctors. You have to like tell them what you do for work, and I'm like, what if I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, not your business.
Yeah, it's none of your business.
Don't worry
I
about
was
it.
like, I can pay for this.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
I've
point
got
is I have
insurance.
this insurance. That's all you need to know. That's the end of it.
Is anyone else flushed? Anyone else hot? How we all
Yeah.
doing? So that's why we have the podcast. Good
Yeah,
Girls
that's why we have the
Concept.
podcast. Oh, I talk about this in my stand up too, so you might have heard it. But I was like the phrase that sticks in my head from being taught about purity culture, which I feel like we didn't really talk about it until like late middle school, high school. But in high school, I was very much like aware of who was having sex and like afraid of them for that reason.
Sex havers.
Yeah, sex havers. That's what my friend and I
No
in college
way.
called them.
There's
Yeah.
a term.
Wow.
Um,
And this is in college?
well, it extended into college.
Oh, okay.
But
Oh my God, I'm going to rename our group chat the Sex Haver.
sex havers. Yeah. But in high school, I remember one of our youth pastors said that if you have sex before marriage, that's like you're cheating on God because you're
Oh.
married to God until you're married to like your earthly partner. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds very bad.
So what about
I guess I won't do that.
Cheating on God, he can really fuck up your day. if
Right?
he
So
wants.
Well, I
also-
would never want to cheat on God. Like,
is the
Yeah.
concept then that God is also married to all the dudes?
no. I don't
No.
think so.
So who are they?
Just the women. He's
I'm
got, like,
not
so
sure
when
who
you
the
become
dudes
a
are
nun,
married
you
to.
become the bride of Christ.
But what about boys?
What about
Who are they
this?
marrying?
Yeah,
That is
why
a great
can't-
question.
That is actually, how come
See-
priests can't get, I mean, if the rules don't apply to the men, how come the priests have to be celibate as well?
I don't know.
So they can focus on what's important.
The young boys?
Yeah.
Hymns. Hymns. One bread,
The
one
word of
body.
God.
Hymns,
for
the
people of
little
God.
hymns.
One bread, one body. One Lord of all.
Okay, okay.
All
They have to
right.
learn a lot of Latin. Give them some credit.
But okay, then in the flip side though, so I was raised Methodist. Our youth pastors were always like, you know what rocks is sex with your wife. Like my wife is so hot.
They did
and our
bring that
sex
up.
is so good.
we still
And
had
it's
youth.
like,
We still had youth ministers who were
Youth-
like, youth ministers.
Yeah, no, they were weird.
They love
I'm
to
gonna
talk
fucking
about sex
say
with their
it.
hot wives. But then they're like I had one who was like, we had sex. I had sex before I was married. And like when I married my wife, I just felt like, you know, I had given away something that was for her. And I had like, you know, cheated her of this like gift for me and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you probably weren't even good.
You
Yeah.
definitely weren't very good.
These
You're speaking
people,
about it like this right now.
They would be repulsed, disgusted by Mark. He is like, and me.
I mean, and me.
Yeah, I'm like, we have been spreading
You know
our
what's-
seed
These people
all
all
so
over
funny.
this damn
I was
country.
like, do you mean the two of us? Because I was taught I was taught to accept everybody, but you are sluts, and that's okay.
I had
I've
a really hard
accepted it.
time, like, even, I still do. I had a hard time, though, when people would be like, oh, yeah, I, like, had sex with my boyfriend, and I'd be like, already?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you did.
What's so funny,
yeah.
when I was in middle school, which was before I had sex, thank God. But I'm not like relax. But it was an evangelical middle school, partially just because it was the best school in the region. So my parents were like, "Oh, fuck, send her over there." But then I came out of that and I was still like, "Yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
do my own thing."
That's nice.
No, it was the stuff that Becca was talking about that like really messed me up. They also told us that using a condom is putting a condom over the mouth of God.
The penis is the mouth of God.
No, just condoms in general.
Where does the condom go now?
The condom, well,
Goes
it's
over the
because you're
penis.
preventing God's seed from spreading.
So the penis is the mouth of God. Is the
No,
seed
the
is way.
seed is
the
the word of
God.
God. It's the
Yeah.
sperm
It's like,
specifically.
no, let's not make that connection. No.
But
I heard it. I heard it
using
here.
birth control is putting a condom over the mouth of God.
Wow. Okay.
Something that was really said to me. And I've looked it up since, and I'm like, is that a thing people say? And I was like, I think I just had one really weird theology teacher.
Oh, really?
All
That's
you
so
need
funny.
is like one weird phrase to stick in your mind forever that you think about, and then you start stand-up comedy and talk about it on stage. But like,
Yeah, but the first condom I ever saw, I saw it at a theater because for those of you who don't know, you can put a condom over a mic pack if someone's like really sweaty, and it like helps protect the mic pack.
Okay.
I didn't know this, and I just found condoms in the sound booth, and I like didn't know what to do. I was 18, and I
Wow.
had never seen a condom
Freaking
before, and I was
out.
freaking out. And I like
Wow.
remember like bringing it up to somebody who's like, I found condoms. They were like
And they're like,
unused,
okay.
wrapped in a box. I was like, I found condoms in the sound booth, and they went, oh yeah, those are for the microphones. And I went, wait, then how do people use them? I was like, and then I'm really, really
hold on,
confused.
am I getting this entirely
The
wrong?
microphone is the mouth of God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, that was the first time I saw a condom, and it really scared me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
They're
I
gross
I thought by
looking.
like
They are.
seeing it I was gonna get pregnant. Like I just I
Wow.
didn't understand how like I mean I didn't think that was true, but I didn't know how anything worked. So this is true. During they told us about wet dreams. And then we thought if any of the boys fell asleep in class, and they would just
That they were gonna be
they
coming
would just have wet
They
dreams
probably
all the
would have been
time,
at your school.
and then we would just like sit in it and get pregnant. Like we were always constantly concerned about getting pregnant.
Oh my
Hot tub
gosh.
pregnancies, we thought those were real. Glee did
Damn.
the opposite thing for me.
Sitting
God,
on a
that's
dirty
so-
toilet.
Sitting on a dirty toilet.
Gonorrhea.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
So anyway,
Meanwhile, actually getting pregnant is like kind of tough.
So
Yeah,
I
you're
heard.
like really tied to do. You have to try hard.
I like was preparing a joke about how it's hard to get pregnant, and then I got pregnant, so it seems kind of annoying. But I was
Probably
like,
was
how?
really good joke. I gotta pass it.
But I was like, how do people get accidentally pregnant? Like when you really think about
Yeah.
it, it's like weirdly complicated.
Like a
But
miracle has to happen.
I'm well aware that people get accidentally pregnant. I have many friends who are accidentally pregnant, and things are great. But I'm just like, as I was writing that joke, I was like, when you learn how it works, it's kind of hard.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like very challenging. So anyway.
Well, congrats on your pregnancy.
congrats
On
on
that.
your
You did it.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
people
She had
can do
sex.
hard things.
People can do hard things.
The seed of God has done what it's
Yeah,
meant to
and
do.
another God's
Oh
little
my
mouthpiece
God.
on its
Oh.
way. I'm sorry for touching your belly. That made me so uncomfortable. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Oh man.
I won't do it ever
I
again.
kept touching, my sister's also pregnant. I kept touching her belly this week, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, we're not like huggy sisters.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I doing? But I would just like drawn to it.
Yeah.
If it starts glowing, will you let me know?
What?
If you start glowing
Is that a thing?
from the inside, I don't know, because it's an alien.
Oh.
I was like,
that's not what the pregnancy glow was referring to.
Wow, yeah, Syd's still learning over here. She's like, yeah, babies glow.
I haven't gotten to that chapter yet.
Goddamn.
Do
That's what they
people
said
do
in
that where
class.
they like come up and touch your belly? Because I feel like I hear from pregnant people that they're like, people just they touch me, and you're like, this is still my body. What are you doing right
Yeah,
now?
I've only gotten one
Just there?
unsolicited touch. Well, I guess Syd too, but not really. But I did, like, when I was like early pregnant, I had a lot of people be like, said to this to me too, be like, I see a little bump, and I was like, well, I'm just bloated, so thank you.
I just had a burrito.
Like, it wasn't here this morning, so thank you very much.
Well, you should have lied. You should have been like, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't.
finally stop sucking in when it happens to me.
Oh,
Yeah, I just
absolutely.
like felt weird. I don't know.
No, that's fair.
It's just a weird feeling when you're like, I'd actually like to look pregnant because I feel awful. So if people on the train could like see me and give me their seat, that would be great.
Yeah.
But then it's like when you're just kind of like, oh, belly. It's like, okay, thank you. It's just how I look.
She said that, and then immediately she was like, I hate when people do that. Like, I was coming over for a record, and then she's like, I hate when people do that. And I was like, that thing I just did 10 minutes ago. You went, he, it's fine. I hadn't told you I hated it yet. And I was like, great. Awesome.
That's so funny.
Well, guys,
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. This
Thank
has been
you for
so
having
much
us.
fun.
I've learned so
Yeah.
much.
Me too.
You should fact check
I
all
was
of it.
just
I
gonna
made
say
it all
some of
up.
it was probably wrong.
Yeah.
Honestly-
We mostly spread misinformation on this podcast.
That's what we
Incredible.
do.
And as women, it's women's rights. That's
Yeah,
equality.
that's so
We can
true.
spread misinformation if we want.
Men do it all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're
I
gonna
love
jump in the
that.
ring. You guys, please drop
Where
your
can we find
plugs.
you?
Where can we find you?
Oh yeah, I'm Becca Stephenson Ryan. You can follow me on Instagram at the Becca Stephenson. That's Stephenson with a PH. And you can follow me on TikTok at @thereal_Becca.
And you can follow me, Syd King, at Syd_the_King. It's a Y. And my last name is King. It's not a vanity thing. And you can follow us, the Good Girls Gone Sad, on TikTok and Instagram under the same things. And then also, like, listen to the podcast. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Former guest.
Former guest.
Oh yeah.
Future guest. We
Future
need to have you
guest.
on.
Yeah, I'll come on for
very
sure.
soon. And otherwise, that's it from us. We
Amazing.
don't have
Yeah.
a show coming. No, we just had
No.
a show coming, and I was like, there's something I'm supposed to say.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and then follow me at May_Planner. Follow the pod at Risque Business News on all platforms.
And
subscribe on YouTube, please. That'd be great.
Please subscribe on YouTube. We are pumping the numbers over there. And I am at Laura Sogar on all the things.
Oh, and we have new merch.
Yes.
So that will be dropping shortly, and we're going to be sending it out to people as a thank you for something that we did a long time ago. Oops.
Yes.
But
No, I did-
We know that energy.
yeah. But thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.